I think we all say that we strive for excellence, but do we? Do we really put it together? If you want to be the best, okay, you just have to do more. How old are you going to be before you start to experience life like you want it? I want to tell you right now, whether you like it or not, there is a better way to do business. Hi everyone, welcome to the Business for Builders podcast. I am your host. My name is Max. I'm the CEO here at Smith & Sons in Canada, and I am your the ambitious founder of Elite Business Advisory, coaching for contractors. So good to have you along for the ride. Again, appreciate if you are a long-time listener. Good to have you back, and if you're a first-time listener just checking us out, I hope you get some value, and I hope that you come back as well. So don't forget, like and subscribe. One of these drops every week. Also, don't forget Business for Builders VIP on Facebook is our community of general contractors and builders. Get in there, ask questions, be respectful. Make sure you answer the questions, and if you're a good sort, I'll let you in. And, it's a really great place whereby you can start just chatting with other builders. Sometimes those builders are going to be in your area, possibly. More often than not, they could be halfway around the world. So it's an exciting platform where there's connection, where there's some camaraderie, and obviously asking those questions. Because I know this, that, we've just got so much information that we don't know, and it's impossible for us as one human to learn all of that quick enough to actually deploy it and use it to be successful. So we need to lean on other operators and maybe short circuit some of our learning curve. And I guess that's why you're sitting here today. You're saying, what can I take away from this show that is going to help improve my business? Look, this month of September, is really what we call a mindset month. I think it's important that we do have a lot of, monitoring our activity key metrics and KPIs and SOPs and things. But really, I think that this month, it just sort of worked out as I was planning things and thinking about some of the interactions I've had both with my franchise builders and also with my Elite Business Advisory coaching clients, my builders and general contractors there, that, a lot of the struggle, there's so much commonality between all of my clients and all my franchisees from a operational practical standpoint. Where there is complete variation is individual to individual to individual. I do have to really customize some of the, on the fly, some of the advice. That there's a timing issue. Some people are ready sooner than others. What we've got to do is really just understand that the X factor in your business is you. It's the organic part of your business, which then means if you've got a team working for you as well, your ability to raise up a powerful team is your competitive advantage. Just keep that in mind, but also understand that these other humans are in and around your life, whether they're clients or subs or suppliers, or team members, you don't have control ultimately or arbitrarily over those individuals. So that's why we talk a lot about buy-in. So really, I think this month is very much focused around you, the general contractor, you, the builder, you, the business owner. So we're going to talk about 3 pillars, and explore how each of those can help you elevate your business to the next level. And of course, they are attitude, effort, and focus. So let's quickly get started. So number 1, attitude, the foundation of success. Really, it's easy. And, it's funny. We'll all go, oh, yeah, sure. I often refer to it as above the line thinking or below the line thinking. That's a fairly obvious, analogy of, where we want to be positioned. However, what we find is it's a lot easier to be negative than it is to be positive, isn't it, folks? I think sometimes we enjoy, what do they say? Misery loves company. I'm feeling in a down mood. And if I can find someone else to come along and bitch with me, it's just more merrier, more fun. Unfortunately, what it doesn't do is it doesn't create a positive result for your business, and it certainly doesn't demonstrate a high level of leadership capability. And let's face it, you don't want to follow somebody who's lost. We want to follow somebody that's know exactly where they are going. So your attitude is the lens through which you view every challenge, every setback, and every opportunity. So, a positive attitude isn't about ignoring the problems like, oh, yeah, it's fine, it's not there, they're there. But really it's approaching them with the mindset that it can be solved. And so, I often make reference to the fact that, there's some business owners that I've seen and work with that have basically had an issue in their business, and the first words out of their mouth is, "Max, it's not my fault." And, I think, we talked a couple of episodes, episode 200, we talked about how your ability, we've got to assume responsibility. And all that means is your ability to respond. And I think it's not saying that, oh yeah, it's my fault, because more often than not, if you're leading a group of humans, somebody's dropped the ball. There is an oversight, there's an error, there's a fault, but it's not directly attributed to you. However, you being the leader of the business, you must be the one that responds. So you have got to have the ability to respond to that situation. So it's about resilience and optimism and a belief in your ability to succeed, which ensures that you actually have a very good attitude towards both the good in your business and the good outcomes, but also those things that do present a challenge. And, from personal experience, I really understand, that there can be periods within your business life where you can just think, this is just from one headache to another problem to another firefight. When is it ever going to stop? And I just keep saying to myself, tough times don't last, but tough people do. And so I think you need to be really have that mindset towards challenges. And I think I talked about the last episode how that you're not the business owner that you need to be to run that business that does twice the revenue that it currently does. We need to develop and we need to use those tough situations to help us grow. Right, so mindset matters. That's the first part of the attitude. Let's call it attitude correction. We want to make sure, or confirmation. Mindset matters. The second thing there is client and team relationships. So, our attitude, we need our attitude to not only boost the morale, but affect how others perceive us as the leader. So it's almost like there's a binary, there's if you've got that great attitude, it does two things for your business. Clients want to work with builders and contractors who are confident and can do, not those who complain and make excuses. And that a lot of the time, I coach guys and they're not closing deals, and I'm looking at the metrics and I'm like, why the heck are they not winning deals? And yet I'm not there for the meeting, and I don't hear the tone, and I don't hear the way that they lead the client through the process. And because of that, I lack that data. There's this mystery as to why this guy or gal is not closing deals. And so, I think that, when clients, your attitude is either attractive or repellent, and so if your attitude is one that, seeks to overcome challenges and doesn't complain in the face of adversity, or make excuses and deflect the responsibility, that is an attractive personality. Someone that says, hey, I'm all about solutions. I'm all about continuous improvement. I'm all about taking responsibility. I'm all about, really observing where we drop the ball and noting how we can and do it a lot better next time. And of course, the same goes for the people that are in your charge, as Simon Sinek puts it. Your attitude sets a tone for the entire workplace. So I know this, when I go to a building site, I am not interested in getting stuck in the quagmire and the stickiness of the bullshit that's going on at the job site. I just want to move through it and get on with it, because I'm not paid to get stuck in this moment. I'm paid to deliver a result, which means completing the product or completing the project on time and on budget. And so we've got to assess challenges, but we've got to do that fairly promptly and expeditiously. And so, if I said to you, hey, do you want to solve problems quickly or slowly? People are like, well, I want to get these things done quickly. And yet they're the same people that will spend hours and hours and hours bitching and complaining about who did what. Like, hello, you can't have it both ways. You can't have speed and then also spend hours and hours wallowing in the horseshit of the event. You have to just look objectively and unemotionally at what it is that we're trying to achieve. So, your attitude in front of clients and your team is going to really, be the foundation stone of your success as well. So do that well. Just side note, I think that's where, you've got to have someone close to you. And I think we're going to talk about that. Actually, we're going to talk about that here in some practical steps. So, to help your attitude, improve, your mindset, obviously client and team relationships. I think what can help, especially in the face of adversity, is cultivate a habit of gratitude. So for me, I think I know there's things in my life that money can't buy. And so when I'm in business, really to make money, I mean, we all want to be more profitable and, see our business have a better profit and loss statement. I think sometimes we can all in on that. And I'm as guilty as anybody. I get depressed if things aren't going well financially, because I feel like that's an indictment against my ability as a business operator. And so, at that point, there's an element of depression where you feel you're under the weight of the lack of achievement within your business. And what that does is out of those or through those lenses, you then see the remainder of your life, and you kind of, you tarnish what is good in your life because of maybe some things that haven't quite gone your way in the business. So, I think that attitude of gratitude for things that money can't buy, we need to use that process to de-escalate the stress level, okay? And I'm one for that. I really have to de-stress at the end of a day normally. You work your ass off for 8 or 10 or 12 hours a day, but at some point, you've got to get out of that, groove and just switch off. And I know more than anyone that it's hard to switch off. I'm about to, by the time this one goes live, I think I'm in Australia as this goes live. And so, for me, because I tend to work 6.5 or 7 days a week, for me to get out of the office and be overseas and, do some business while we're over there and obviously catch up with some family and, mix a bit of business with pleasure, that's actually a good thing for me because it does get me completely out of my routine, which I think is, what they say, all work and no play makes a dull boy. And so, it's important that, I don't give in, but there was an opportunity of some business to take care of overseas. And so it was a good opportunity for me to get outside that. So, I think we've got to be grateful for the good things as well as, understand that those bad things, the tough times don't last. Tough people do. I might have mentioned that in the last episode. But, de-escalate the stress level. We can practice some proactive problem solving rather than dwelling. I think I just covered that. Let's just focus on solutions, guys and gals. As quickly as we can rip that Band-Aid off and deal with the issue, as bitter as the pill might be to swallow, let's just get her done, as the Canadians would say. Surround yourself with positive influences and mentors who uplift and inspire you. Do not undervalue the power of association. There's definitely, when I sit with clients or general contractors in the Smith & Sons world, there is times whereby we're not just talking about our activity key metrics. We're not just talking about what our marketing initiatives are. There is sometimes where we do have to, spend some time talking about restoring that level of attitude if there is some negative things going on in the business. See, we can't win the war if the general has not got his head in the game. And so sometimes for me, I intentionally time out on some of the practical aspects of the business, and I'll dive into more of the emotional side of the business, things that relate more to the organic creature that's leading the business. Because if we don't resolve those things, if we don't pay attention to those things, if we don't apply some correction there perhaps, or some medication there, if you like, in the way of getting our mindset right or reset, then what we do after that is really not going to help us, because we've got to have our head in the game, and we've really got to be, we've got to be above the line. And so, you become like the people you hang around. Don't underestimate the power of a good influence on I think it's very similar to me having a business partner. We're not just going to make double the money because Jed's good at what he does and I'm good at what I do. There's an exponential benefit. The return on investment won't be double. It could be as triple or quadruple because you've got that leverage ability. And what it is like. What it's like when you're out on the job. You're thinking about what's got to happen in the office. Oh, I've got to do this quote. I've got to send that email. I've got to pay that bill. I've got to invoice that client. Then when you get into the office, what are you thinking about? What's going on site? What are the boys doing? Are they making those door openings the right width? Are the head heights good? Is their bow into the do I got to get back out there and check on the job after, all of that. So you're constantly in this zone of backwards and forwards. And so, I think we've got to compartmentalize and we've got to time block. And a lot of that is very hard to self-medicate, let's call it. There's instances whereby there's been financial challenges in business, and it's with my unemotional, practical view, because I'm not wrapped up in it. It makes it very easy for me to categorize and to triage or prioritize, and then come up with communication avenues and initiatives whereby we can maintain control of the business and ensure that we don't lose any momentum or we minimize it. And so, I think that can be, I think, if someone said to me, hey, Max, what's the importance of a business coach to a builder or a general contractor? I would say this: it's like having another one of you in the business that is not emotionally wrapped up in the business, because I don't coach anyone outside the construction game. And so for me, and having been in the industry 35 years this year, I'm very much in tune with what's happening within your business, even if it's a very macro level. It wouldn't take me long to understand where we're at. And so I think when you've got that ally that is as good as you, or maybe even better for the moment, to have that person with a very objective, unemotional view of what's happening in the business, that really does complement your decision-making process at a high level, because you've got someone where you can just go, blah, this is where I'm at and it's pissing me off and this guy's screaming and that supplier's friggin' threatening legal action, blah, blah, blah. And it's somebody like me that can sit in that corner and just go, all right, well, here's the facts. And then we look at who are the priorities, and we start to really compartmentalize our activity around each of those challenges. And so, that is the power of association. Right, number 2. Okay, so the first one was attitude. The second one is effort. It's really the engine of achievement within your business. So going the extra mile is a big deal. One of the questions that we ask when we're doing video testimonials is, did the Smith & Sons builder or general contractor go the extra mile? And if he did, in what areas did he? And so, this is something that we promote to all of our Smith & Sons guys here in Canada. And then we actually ask the client at the back end, did he go the extra mile? Can you give some examples? And how did that make you feel? Like those sorts of things. There's so much power in that extra mile. To me, that's almost like a hard and smart tactic. Some people say, well, I work smart, not hard. And I'm like, well, Gary Vee says this all the time. I work hard and smart. Now what, hotshot? And so, for me, working smart is actually going the extra mile, because that, again, might be a competitive advantage. And so, if you're more diligent, and you show more attention to detail, and you're willing to put more effort in than anyone else in your sector or in your area or in your location, you'll stand out. So I think, in a game where it is a challenge to to develop a competitive advantage or to stand out, going the extra mile can be one of the tactics that you can use to actually stand out. Okay, so effort in practice. So effort isn't about physical labor only. It's about going above and beyond in every aspect of your business. That sort of thing really means, for me, extra effort is taking, so I talked about maybe in the last podcast about me going out on site. We did a site visit where we took photos and grabbed some information, and then I put together a site visit report, and I wanted to present that to the homeowner. And, my business partner's like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just email it to them? And really what it comes down to is that effort in practice. I wanted to make sure, because that is a 5-page report, I wanted to make sure that the client didn't get bogged in the detail, because if they see that email, it's just going to be like, whoa. So I wanted to set up a meeting where I had their undivided attention. And of course, the other thing is that, because we do go out physically and say, hey, we want a second meeting to really talk to you about what's in this report, that demonstrates a higher level of care than maybe the other guy that takes a phone call from the client, goes out and does a site visit, tries to smash a quote together, and then asks for the business. 4 touch points. I used to recommend 8 to 12 touch points, but now I'm thinking it could be as many as 20. Now, what makes that a lot easier is being able to do that using text message and email, and sometimes a communication portal on your website, on your job management software like we have. So, guys, that extra effort in practice is a physical demonstration really of your level of commitment to really achieving or delivering value at the highest level. And we talk about how that, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. Well, how do you expect homeowners to get to know, like, and trust you beyond what's written on your website? It's about putting in the effort, okay? Effort in practice is what is going to give you the competitive advantage. Obviously meticulously planning every detail. I was sitting down with my business partner and we were going through the estimate for this, job that's probably about $160,000 suite or garage to suite conversion. And, the way that I estimate, we were talking about a few numbers, and he's like, oh, okay, because I tend to break everything up. It's supply for this, labor for this, delivery for this. I make sure, because I want to go about back costing at the highest level to figure out, okay, where were the points I was over budget, where are the points where I'm under budget? And you can only do that when you can really, filter that down. And, so when we're talking about effort being the engine of achievement, then my meticulous attention to detail within an estimate is what is going to help position us for success going forward. Even in the event we go over budget, at least I'll be able to identify why our gross profit on that job wasn't up where I thought it was going to be. So, again, that's going to help your business moving forward. So some practical steps. Obviously, I think, guys and gals, we need to commit and not just say it's about continuous improvement, although it is. It's about that commitment to ongoing continuous improvement. I mean, that's what the word continuous means. It's like we never get comfortable in our position and go, we've made it. I think you're either busy living or you're busy dying. You can't really hit a position. If you are stagnating, you are going backwards. And so it's important that we really embrace that the attitude towards continuous improvement, and that we never settle for, oh, I'm good enough. Now, if you do that, it's you're kind of tapping out and you're finished. Like you're not going to, I think in life we should be always pushing ourselves to grow and to develop, what we are doing, whether it's a career or whether it's a business. I think the excitement is in the development and in the climb. Okay. And so, I think if we never settle for, enough, I'm not saying, see, you don't have to be 100 miles an hour all the time. I don't even do that. I like to go home and kick back and have a freaking tequila and watch some Netflix and just chill. Like, it's not like it's 100 miles an hour, and I get 6 to 7 hours sleep every night. So it's about just, really continuous, consistent improvement. There's some weeks or months where you go, I didn't learn a single thing. I just went through the motions, and that's okay. But you know that you've got to go back to it. So, I think so just to give an example, I was on the phone this morning, and I think I caught, everyone knows who Anthony Robbins is. They call him Tony Robbins as well. And, he's a pretty powerful mindset guy. And, I saw a Facebook ad, and I kind of, I don't want to get on any of their, mentoring or coaching things, but there was this 5-day, I think, seminar or something like that, and it can all be done by Zoom. So that was convenient. I don't want to get on a plane and go to Florida, although I'd love to go to Florida at some point. Give me a shout out if you're in Florida. And, but I just, to me, because I have a hunger or a desire for continuous improvement, because remember, I sit here as a CEO and a president of a corporation, that is a franchisor. I'm running a business coaching business, but I'm also running a building company. And I just know how important it is for me to continue to grow. So I'm exploring that option. I'm going, okay, so what's the level of investment? Can I afford it right now? Can I afford the time right now? So there's just an example, not to mention, books that I'm reading, audio books that I'm re-listening to whilst looking at the hard copy. Like I just need to ensure that I am on the cutting edge of my personal development. So, never settle for good enough. Invest in your own skills and those in your team as well. And also track your progress and really push yourself to exceed your own benchmarks. I think it's important that we do. What you don't measure, you can't manage. What you don't measure, you can't improve. So stick to that. Right. Number 3, focus. Okay. This is a key to excellence. You've heard the saying, don't take your eye off the ball. Well, that's for obvious reasons. If you're a wide receiver, and I've got a kid over here that's played quarterback before, but if you're a wide receiver and you know the ball's coming your way, but you take your eyes off the ball, you lose focus, it's not going to end well. You're going to get dragged, So, focus is all about really being specific in our activity and our effort. And really one of those things is to focus your energy. So, in a world full of distractions, your ability to maintain your focus is I think of paramount importance. And I'll give you an example. On the weekend, we're racing. It was 40 degrees. It was hot as. For me, when I'm leading a race, which I was doing on the weekend, the whole thing, when it's hot and you are feeling that fatigue, there's a lot of self-talk that happens under that helmet because, and I did this, I got a little bit too greedy and the cart got a little bit sideways and I clipped the tires and it basically took me out of the race. And I think back to that instance and I remember thinking, she'll be right. I think I've got this. And then until you hit the tires and then you realize you don't have this. And I think it was a lazy mentality. I think I took my eye off the ball instead of being more focused on maybe giving the brakes a bit of a tap and getting that, a bit of trail braking to get that cart to settle. I just assumed it would be right because my attention to detail went out the window for a split second and it cost me the race. And for that weekend, it cost me the podium. So, I think we've got to focus our energy on, really understanding what it takes to not just get in front, but to stay in front and really keep your eye on the ball. And to that point, eliminating distractions. And so, all through that weekend, it was all about self-talk. And, we had to do 20 laps and, it's a long race. And admittedly, the lap times it's not a horrendous amount of time. It's not hours, but it's a physical intent for a good 10 to 15 minutes. And if you do take your eye off the ball once, it can be drastic and it can just cost you a few places. But nonetheless, and I did it, I can't believe how many times I did it. And it just goes to show there's not many times that, people at that racing club have seen me make a mistake. But on that weekend, I easily made 4 or 5 huge mistakes to the point where I went from second, to being last on the grid. And so, for us, and a lot of that was because I might have been overthinking it. I might have been, and there's a lot of times where you catch yourself thinking about what's happening after the race, or some of the distractions that were in your face as it relates to mechanical prior to the race, and you find yourself worrying about shit that you shouldn't do. And so for me, it's all about self-regulation. So when I'm in the business sector, there's so many distractions that come into my life across my desk. Remember, I'm running 3 companies. And, it's easy for me to squirrel off onto something else for another company that could be deemed to be as urgent or important. But for me, I've got to make a categoric decision that the world could be on fire right now, but for the next 15 minutes, I'm getting this done. I just don't know any other way that you can achieve at a high level. And really, you can't achieve at a high level and be distracted. It just does. It's like oil and water. It doesn't go together. So you've got to develop the discipline. I think that's what I'm trying to say. The discipline that says, I'm not going to forget about that. And you have stacking mechanisms. So there's things that I do. If I get an email in, you can go up to the top of that bar and I can add it to a task list. Now, I don't have to remember that email anymore because I know if I want to know what's happening within Smith & Sons corporate in Canada, I go to that task list off the side of my email. If I want to know what's happening with my building company, i.e. Smith & Sons Coldstream, it'll have the same task list. We use the Gmail suite. If I want to know what's happening with clients within Elite Business Advisory, same thing. I've got a task list. That needs to be paid attention to. So I usually will focus on one company at a time and I'll get through that task list. Some items might not get done because I've got to wait on something, or I can put it down the list because there's some other pressing issues in my other company. So this is how I'm kind of demonstrating how I handle myself in the thick of the battle, and I don't tend to get overwhelmed because I've got technology that helps me very well to overcome some of those challenges. So, I've already given you some practical steps. Set clear actionable goals for each project and stick to them. I just talked about that. Develop systems and routines to streamline your work. I just talked about that. And then delegate tasks that don't require your direct involvement, which allows you to focus on those things that are more strategic to do with the business. I know I sent a text message off to one of our team this morning. I'm like, hey, I said, do the leads go directly into our CRM? No, they do not. Okay, I want you to go investigate Zapier because I need that new software that we're using to communicate directly with our CRM. Boom. That was a delegation. I could go and look at Zapier and I did have a quick look at the pricing, etc. However, I delegated that task because I needed to focus on some other things. Right, just to wrap up. So what we want to do is we want to do more, okay, on the pathway to becoming the best, right? So, I think we all say that we strive for excellence, but do we? Do we really put it together? If you want to be the best, okay, you just have to do more. And so for me, I guess, to talk about what I'm doing practically, and it's not really a brag, it's just kind of how my life worked out. I guess, I coach everyone that I do coach, they only run one company. And there's a part of me that's like, boy, if I only had to run one company, life would be awesome. So, I think it comes down to the fact that I've, what I am proud to be a part of, it actually requires, it demands more of me, which means I've got to be more systemized, which means I've got to be less distracted, which means I have to embrace technology, which means I have to learn more often, and discipline myself in the area of personal leadership as well as corporate leadership. And so, if I'm about striving for excellence, then I have to be prepared to pay the price, sacrifice, and do more. So it needs more planning, more learning, and more leading. Okay, it's about pushing your limits and setting higher standards for yourself and for your team. And success doesn't come from doing the same thing everyone else does. It comes from doing more and doing it better. And so, that is really sums up what is striving for excellence. What does that mean? Obviously, to that end, consistency is key. Doing more isn't about getting burnt out. Some people go, I'm running a company at a high level and I'm burnt out. Whereas I'm sitting here running 3 companies, and, at some times there is that element of fatigue that kicks in, and that's why you got to know when to unplug. Like I said, maybe in another episode, or this one, I'm heading off to Australia, and that's going to be a great opportunity for me to get out of my rut, essentially, this thing, because I am my own worst enemy. I keep flogging me to do more and more and more, because I just sort of love the game. But yeah, it does pay a price on you. So consistency is key. I think it's about being consistently excellent. And so I think one of my sayings is, whether I'm running a building company or a coaching group or a franchise organization, we start well, we finish strong. There is no excuse for dropping the ball forever. Yes, there are some things where we trip up and we don't do it particularly well. We need to learn from that, but we finish strong. It doesn't matter. I think about one of the races on the weekend where I went from second place to last. And, it was early on in the race and I had a great opportunity and I worked myself back up to second position again. And so, that is what I'm talking about. I didn't finish first, but I finished strong. So we started well, and then I made a mistake, paid the dividend, went back at the grid, and then over the remainder of the race, I was able to push back into second. So, guys and gals, that really is what epitomizes. It's start well, but finish strong. Push hard the whole way through. So, I think a couple of practical steps as we wrap up here. You need to set high standards for every project that you undertake. Really, if you're going to do something, it's worth doing well. So really start out with that attitude toward excellence, that you are going to be like I just thought of, I wake up in the morning and I piss excellence. I had to go there. But if you're not first, you're last. Oh, geez. But, that's exactly what I'm talking about. We've just got to have that attitude towards success. Oh, what was his, I can't remember his name now. Ricky Bobby. Yeah, of course. Good old Ricky Bobby. That was his attitude. It was obviously full of humor, but nonetheless, we have got to have that attitude towards the success in our business that says when we wake up, that's exactly what we do. I think it's every time you're getting into a new project, you need to have that excellence level set pretty high. Obviously, regularly assess your performance and seek areas of improvement. It's important that we don't just drink our own Kool-Aid and think we've got no problems in our life. And I would urge you to consider that, of course, you and I operate at a high level when we are confident, okay? But we've got to have humility at the same level, but because there's no room for ego. Ego is the quickest way to undermine your own success, guys and gals. So please, 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 and this is where a coach like myself will bring awareness. It's like, mate, I know you're on the right, I know you think you're on the right track, but unfortunately, you've got a misalignment or you're disconnected, and the way I see it is that this is why you're not excelling. This is why you are not developing, as the business is not developing because your attitude, your behavior, your methodology is what's holding you back. Obviously, stay ahead of the industry trends and continuously innovate, in your business. Really key is to, again, not getting comfortable and always being ready to and open for change. Super important. So attitude, effort, and focus, these aren't just kind of words that we conveniently spit out. They're principles that will guide you to the top, no question about it. Okay, and when you combine them with the commitment of doing more, then there's no limit to what you can achieve in your business. So it's not easy, but it's worth it. It's about making a conscious decision, show up with the right attitude, give it the extra effort it deserves, focus on what truly matters. And I tell you what, that will be a thriving business that you are leading. Don't forget, get across, Business for Builders VIP, answer the questions. If you're a good sort and you answer the questions, I'll let you in. Like and subscribe, good old YouTube. Thanks for tuning in if you're watching this on YouTube. And one of these drops every week. Leave some comments. Email me, max@elitebusinessadvisory.com. Did I say that right? max@elitebusinessadvisory.com. And would love to spend some time with you if you want to chat with me about what's the ins and outs of coaching. Book 30 minutes. I will give you as much value as I can, and we'll get amongst the weeds and see what we can come up with. And I think that's about it. Go build a kick-ass business. I will see you on the next episode. Cheers.